At a loss for words. I'm not sure how to say this, but this morning I went out to the store after getting all my work done. I was just running around and getting everything done, and I thought I needed some things at the store. So I went out, and when I got to the store, I went in, and there was a lady sitting there, lady that I greet every time I go to the store, and I'm there probably about once a week. Um, and the last couple of weeks I've been missing her. She wasn't there. And I was thinking to myself, where could she be? Because she's always there. She's pretty accurate about coming to work, and she's been pretty good here lately. Um, and so I thought about it, and when I went in, I looked up, and there she was, and I was excited to see her. And I says, "Hi, how come you've not been here?" And I said, "I haven't seen you in a while." And she put her head down, and it was so sad. I was thinking, what's wrong? And she says, "They cut my hours." And I said, "They cut your hours?" I said, "You're one of the best workers in here, so they cut your hours? Why?" And she says, "They just cut my hours." And then she began to say she was one car note payment away, one house payment away from losing her home. And she was just beginning to tell me the story. I didn't even ask her a thing, and she was just telling me the story. And she was telling me that she had asked for more hours, and they wouldn't give her more hours. And they give her only like 3 hours a day. How can this be? She's almost probably in her upper 80s, probably. She's working hard. When she's there, she's working hard. All the customers, I see them coming to her. If she's there, I go right to her register. She's funny. She cuts up with you. She gets their job done. But I just couldn't understand, and I was lost for words, and I was trying to think what to say. There was nothing to say because this world is coming to this. This world is a place where the jobs are going away. It doesn't really make sense. I didn't know what to say to her, and I'm never a person that's lost for words. And I said, "Well, can't you go to them and see if you can tell them that, you're having struggles and maybe they can help?" And she says, "They just don't care." And I was wondering, I shop there a lot, and, there's so many people that, you think that they got money to go buy food and they got money to buy what they want. But that's not so. That's not so. Because it was not long ago that I was talking to her, and pretty much, I was asking her how come she was working, she should, why wasn't she retired? And she just said, "I can't retire. I don't have nobody to help me. I don't have nobody else." So we should just be grateful. We should be grateful for if we have a little bit of money to go to the store to buy food and stuff, because just don't think that everybody does. You know, you think about it and you feel sad, but this world needs to be prayed for because there's so many jobs that's getting lost due to AI or whatever. But, some people has two people in the house and some people doesn't. And what are they going to do? What can we do to help? Because, prayer changes things, and we got to start doing that because, you take for granted every day that you're going to be able to have a paycheck to go out and buy food, but everybody doesn't. I was just thinking through the storm. We had everything that we needed, and thank God that we did. But, you know, just think about the ones who didn't have, and maybe, their electric went out. A lot of people's electric went out, and that was sad because guess what? When your electric goes out, you lose your food. And if you don't have two people working in the house and you just got your food into the house and you're going to have to get rid of that food will not keep. The temperatures that we had, it would not kept inside of a cooler even because the temperatures was too low. We got the snow, but we got the low temperatures. The snow before that, we didn't have such low temperatures, so that worked. But, you try to be kind and you try to be nice, but how can you got to do more than that. You can't just sit and watch people suffer like that. So what answers are they? Is there answers for that? I know there's food banks and different things, and there's, but how do you say something to somebody who's worked all their life, had a good job, and at the end of their life, they have to come back to work and work in a grocery store with minimum wage? There's got to be answers. There's got to be answers. We got to find those answers. We got to find those answers, and we got to have a word in our mouth, and tell those people and show those people that there's something that they can hold on to, because I can't imagine not being able to have a job if you needed a job. I'm retired right now, but the thing of it is, when I was working, or even when I wasn't working, I could go out here and within a day and get a job. You can't get a job today. You can't. It's hard to get a job. I mean, there's so many. You either have to have a good education, and sometimes the education, if you have a good education, they're still not harmed. They want to pay you minimum wage, and they want to work you as hard as they can work you. When we were younger, we could go out and we could get a job, and you do that job. You work as hard as you can, and that's what we were taught. We were only taught to work hard. We weren't encouraged to go to college or whatever. We went to high school, and after we went to high school, we went out and got a job. That was the first day after I graduated, I went out to get a job. But we have got to find help for these people. This doesn't make sense. Our seniors does not need to be working, and they can barely stand. This is what I'm seeing. This is not right. This has got to change, and somebody's got to do something about it, because it's not right. It's one thing for a younger person to go out and work. It's their turn. But when you have these older people that's got to come back and go to work, that's sad. How society has failed us or something. I don't know what's going on. I don't know the situation of the woman, whether she went to college or whether she didn't go to college, but it doesn't matter. She's a senior, and she needs to be taken care of. Let us do better. Let us all do better. Please like and subscribe and follow. And until next time, have a good day.